Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech.
I deeply hope we beat their ass today.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start this thing off right.
Everything runs through Lubbock.
Great to see you again on Locked On at Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks as always to those making us their first listen on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Today's special game day edition of Locked On Texas Tech brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Could be like today if you're still looking for tickets for kickoff tonight. Red Raiders and Longhorns coming at you with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, hope it was a happy Thanksgiving, and now we're back to business. We are excited about the chance to play a game on the other side of the regular season. Sure, the bowl game is going to be a lot of fun, but I've heard some feedback from Tech fans near and far this week suggesting that in a lot of ways, Chris, this is the party of the season. This is the one you've been looking forward to for all kinds of reasons, in the lines, outside the lines. And obviously, as a series, kind of wondering whether or not this is one that's going to bite the dust for good. But we know it'll be on ice for either way for an extended period of time. So looking forward to this regular season finale that will stand out among other regular season finales we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I don't know what where you and I will be, what we'll be doing, what anybody will be doing, or how long it will be before these two programs that will take the field tonight and play each other when they'll play again. I mean, I could be talked into a variety of different scenarios, but you've played them a lot. It's fairly meaningful. You haven't won near as many as you wanted to. It's been somewhat lopsided with the series slanted toward Texas, but yeah, this appears to be the last one for a good long while. And I know there's a lot of chatter and trying to squeeze politically right there that okay, hey, they're leaving. Well, you're going to ensure that we play these guys. There's a lot of cards played and all that, but this appears this is the last one of these for a while. Define a while, not real sure, man. But it is kind of strange. In some ways, I won't miss playing them or seeing Texas Tech play them. In other ways, you'll miss it a great deal. I think everybody's, but it is meaningful, and it's very clear. Like usual, Texas has elite level personnel. They almost always do. This year, though, unlike some, they appeared to have put it together. They haven't had a letdown yet. And so we'll kind of see what you're facing when they take the field tonight. But yeah, I mean, this is and think about some of the memories, like the recent ones. I go back to the Jakeem Grant kind of trick play. I go back to TJ Vasher going in the corner of the end zone and popping the horns down. Flag comes up. I mean, this program is about to play in front of 80, 90, 100,000 people that are all doing the same thing when they depart the Big 12. And one sweet little old Wichita Falls Rider receiver got popped 15 yards for dropping one after he scored a tutty. I mean, come on, man. Why are we hating, right? Justice Parker with the interception to seal it. One of the last times you won there. And then obviously a lot of the home wins as well, and the Crabtree and Harrell, and last year 6 of 8 on fourth downs, analytics, baby, right? It just feels different, and you'll certainly miss that.
Yeah, no question. I don't know where this one would rank for this Tech fan or that Tech fan, and you can certainly let us know in the YouTube comments as far as the series and the way that you viewed it over time, but always enjoyed a chance to knock off the Longhorns or anyone else that was dropping 115, 120 million more annually in the bucket than you were. That's going to always feel good. That's why it felt so good against the Aggies. Became a little bit more of a blood feud, I think, with the Aggies because it became kind of a coin flip series, a hell of a lot closer to 50-50. I think maybe separated by 4 or 5 games, including the most recent Aggie winning streak to leave the Big 12 conference. The Texas series obviously been a heck of a lot more lopsided. And there was a time, a decade and a half or two ago, Chris, where you felt like Texas as an athletics department was kind of making good on the resource investment as they were taking home a national championship, competing for another national championship. But that's a long time gone in the rear view. So even some of the wins that you've gotten, you've had a lot of company, and you were a little bit late to that pick on Texas party. Everybody else in the Big 12 over the prior decade was smacking them around here or there. You still weren't reeling any off. Then you finally do under Cliff Kingsbury, and I guess that was the straw that broke the Longhorns' back. They could not stand being beaten by the Red Raiders in Austin. They said, we're out of the league, and here we are at the brink, I guess, of that departure. But among some of those blood feuds or close to it for you growing up as a Red Raider fan, and as you developed obviously later into a Red Raider broadcaster and the like, where did this series kind of rank among some of those you look forward to, even given some of the difficulty in knocking off some of those wins, whether it was on the gridiron or hardwood, diamond, I don't know, tennis court, take your pick.
Yeah, well, I think Cliff's year in 2002 was a big UT win. That was against a really, really good Texas team at the time, and I think you won in a mini shootout. But like some of the recent basketball activity, I mean, like the one a few years ago here, that's as an impressive of a sporting event as I've ever been to or been a part of for a variety of reasons. And I would tell you it didn't mean as much, although it meant as much as that 08 game for football when you're playing, got all the – because this one was about relationships. This one was about you turn your back on me kind of thing, and like the hate and animosity in that building that night. But that's what – and that's what, like, if we go back to last weekend, that's what's tricky because you didn't have that in the stands with Central Florida. It's like, who are these guys? They kind of look like Colorado. What is a knight exactly? Their coach wears like glasses. Looks like he ought to be an accountant, and he's yelling at everybody. Who is this gentleman?
Visor guy.
Yeah, that's right. Visor guy. That's getting paid handsomely, by the way, not to coach at Auburn. I know we've talked a lot about coaches not coaching at SEC schools that get paid a lot of money. Gus Malzahn, don't forget him. He gets paid a lot not to be at Auburn. But yeah, and that's the there's just nothing like beating Texas, though. That's the and obviously you haven't done it near as much as you wanted to in a variety of different sports. But it gets the old and like you ask about kind of growing up. Well, whenever I was a student or newly married here in Lubbock and kind of feeling my way and all that, there was nothing like that A&M or Texas game every other year, because that was the one. Every year you got one of them here and you hated them equally or as much or whatever, because they were both hard to beat, fun to beat. You could sink your teeth into it. And if you didn't win that one home game, you were like, well, this sucks. Like, I mean, like, what are we doing the rest of this for? And so we're going to have to redefine, what some of that looks like now as we move forward. And so does Texas.
The target of our rage and bitterness yet to be announced upcoming. So everyone just be on the lookout, whether you're a new member, old member. I think anyone could potentially fit that description. Just got to be, I don't know, get the slinging a sock full of quarters in the Municipal Coliseum or whatever. It's got to happen organically, right?
Or like 92, like with Spitgate. And like Clayman, Spittle, and then
Fishbait-gate.
It's like a lot of plays later, and then you kind of you're headbutting people. I mean, see, like, there's some –
there have been livestock painted and branded with scores of games. There are statues positioned geographically in a specific way because of these relationships. I mean, it takes a little time, right? So I don't know. Yep. We'll see what we can cook up in the new era of the Big 12 Conference. He hadn't been on the scene for very long, but Steve Sarkisian now getting a taste of this series and spoke this week on some of the history here and what's going to be feeling like there at DKR. Well, I'm sorry about that. Wrong clip, folks.
The football team is in turmoil right now. Head coach Steve Sarkisian has been sidelined.
Chris,
an indefinite leave of absence.
Now this ain't right, boys. Somebody's playing with the labeling of my clips. Here we go. Here's UT head coach Steve Sarkisian. right, boys. All right. I don't know who's in the back on the sticks today. That's appalling. I didn't have the clip I wanted. That labeling was incorrect, and I apologize to everybody. Sorry about that. My mistake, Chris.
Cowan. Wow. What? Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in the truck, man.
Was that before the bowl game last year? Is that the one? Yeah.
You saw one clip or heard one.
Assistant, yeah.
He was saying thanks to the Alamo Bowl event staff for the great event they put on. I can't remember. Anyway, that's embarrassing and inappropriate, guys. I'm sorry. Let's just move on. How about we talk some football, between the lines? First, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. And eBay Motors has you covered with everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep that ride or die ride on the road. Or if you're just looking to elevate your car's game to the next level of performance, they got what you're looking for with roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, superchargers, and accessories of all kinds to fit your style. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or design, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts to perfectly fit what you need. So just head over today to ebay.com/motors, where you're going to always find exactly what you're looking for, and with no risk because of eBay's guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit just right every time, or your money back, keeping you burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to keep your ride or die ride on the road and moving your life forward at ebay.com/motors. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions do apply. How about we talk some football, between the lines? You see it there on the screen, inside out. And you could take this either way regarding those in burnt orange or those in red and black. Let's start with the good guys, Chris, because I almost feel like, in a way, this is the way that Texas Tech must take to try to get a win, because the conversation goes back to Taj Brooks and what you hope to be able to do offensively. Can you run the ball? Do you have the will to run the ball facing a defense that's going to start some things inside out when you talk about that defensive front? So I don't know necessarily how you want to evolve from week to week, and we've seen maybe a little bit freer or more effective Baron Morton week to week, but I think you have to begin once again with Taj time, don't you?
You have to begin with it, but you may not end with it. I think, I go back to, I think one of the best offensive lines in the league this year, is overwhelmingly so, is Kansas State. I think we have a healthy respect for how technically sound Kansas State is, how, schematically they figure things out. They certainly have picked on you over the last decade and all that. They tried to run it a lot in the first half against Texas and Austin, running into a brick wall. Just no success. And they came out in the second half, spread everybody out, started slinging it. Holy cow, we got a ball game. And I think that you can't have the Longhorn flu, man. You got the third best back in the country yardage-wise. You're going to have to go that route a little bit. However, you're going to have to be willing to adapt a bit. And I do think I'll be shocked if you can't throw at some on these guys. And you may need to do that and actually major in it to help Taj out and open some of that up. The thing about Texas defensively, the way they schematically, what they do, those guys up front are legit. I mean, they're both of those guys are high-end NFL draft type guys. 360 for one, I think. Ooh. 335 for the other.
Loads, boys.
They are not necessarily big-time pass rushers, but good luck trying to run inside zone or zone read or whatever you're wanting to do up front. And so you're going to have to be a bit tricky with your run game. And again, I think you need to they give I think they're fourth in the country at giving up 82 yards a game. And I think like Iowa State last week was I think they ran it 21 times for 9 yards or something. I mean, something absurd. It was actually, guys, let's not run it because it's going backwards. So I think Texas DBs, they play softer coverage because this is very much a bend but don't break type scenario. They're very good in the red zone, and they don't want to get beat over the top. So they're going to give you a lot of underneath stuff, some of that quick game stuff should be there. And it's going to be funny because when you watch this, you're going to see like a 4-man line, and you're going to see like what they would term like the box looks like you can run it. Like it's very inviting. We'll see if you can get it done.
I feel like there was a but coming up.
Yeah, we'll see if you can get it done. And you will try, and you need to try, and you should try, and you've got to keep honest with it and let, because the key where Taj could have some success is if he can get to the second level, because you've got, keep in mind too, you've got the Big 12 preseason player of the year, Jalen Ford, on defense at linebacker. There's a true freshman right there as well that's playing some really good football, but it's that front. That front is just different than anything you've seen this year. I think the closest thing is Oregon. I think Oregon wasn't as good on the interior. They were very elite on the with their defensive ends. This group is not quite as good on the edge. It's elite in the middle. And, I've done a couple of radio interviews in Austin. They've all asked similar conversations leading up to this game about, do you think Texas Tech can run? I mean, yeah. And again, you got to try it. Again, no Longhorn flu here, man. You gotta give it a go. You got to trust Dennis and Rusty and your guys up front, Jacoby, and but they're playing through some injuries and all that. So anyway, I just think this game really, as much as I love 28 and as much as I love, because he's kind of playing a home game in so many ways, he's going to have a lot of family there. You don't win this game unless number 2 plays well and plays and you get some things done in the passing game. I don't see a recipe there. I don't think you can expect to major in it or get your normal stuff in the run game. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I will sit here and go, you popped him right in the mouth and it worked. I'm just trying to be realistic here. Not many others or really nobody else has done this. You will try, see what you can get away with and see what you can get done. But I just think Barron is going to have to be a heavy part of what you do tonight. So we'll see.
You talk tech sports with some fancy out of town friends every once in a while, huh? Save that conversation for a later time. I'm kind of picking up some unstoppable force versus immovable object vibes. Brooks, the force, the UT interior up front, the immovable object. So we'll see which one of those is going to give. And I just wonder, when you talk about, number 2's got to play well. And I know the answer is probably both, but for the sake of this type of sports podcast conversation, play the game with me. If playing well is more so going out and making a big play, getting in the end zone, doing something like that, or is it more so avoid the big mistake, the big letdown, the turnover? How would you define that if you had to err towards one or the other, I guess? First, today's episode brought to you by Game Time, and you shouldn't have to sweat it out when buying tickets to your favorite events, and with Game Time, you won't, because it's always a breeze. Using the Game Time app, where you're going to find killer last-minute deals, views from every seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it begins, which means Game Time is the place to find last-minute seats for any event. The fastest, easiest way to buy tickets, and not just fast, but it's also secure and simple to use when you download the Game Time app. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time by downloading the Game Time app, creating an account, and then use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our promo code Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. If playing well is more so going out and making a big play, getting in the end zone, doing something like that, or is it more so avoid the big mistake, the big letdown, the turnover? How would you define that if you had to err towards one or the other, I guess?
Well, he's got to be the follow, because if you start talking about recipe for a win here involving number 2, he's got to avoid the mistakes, and I think you've got to avoid giving up sacks. You've got to, because where you could semi have an advantage. It's funny because like last year, You scored, Calvin. What was the final score of the Texas Tech game last year? What did you score?
34?
30. Okay, you ran 99 plays against these guys. You were, and again, like this year. Why have we made such a big deal about the fourth down stat? Well, because you converted 6 of them, but ultimately it's because you were not very good on third down. Okay, so you had to go for it on fourth down 8 times. This is the one of, I think it's actually the top defense in the country at third down defense. They give up 26% of third down conversions. It's insane. That's just hard data. And so what I mean by that with Barron is that he's got to be smart and patient and can't force it, but he's got to figure out a way to keep the chains moving. But you got to take what they give you. And I think some of what they're going to give you is they play softer coverage a little bit. You're going to see some of this quick game stuff. You're going to have to hit your blocks, and you're going to have to kind of be willing to take that at times. And that's why I say that Barron's got to be a bit patient. He's a gunslinger. He's going to want to throw it down the field, but you can't force it at all. And if they'll give you 4 to 5 a pop on occasion, be willing to take it because that's as good as a run. So Anyway, kind of fascinating. And again, you don't have to play perfect tonight. I'm just trying to tell you what their strengths are. They're 2 defensive linemen. They've got a third one that is big-time guy as well. That's just probably the strength of maybe their entire team. I actually heard somebody say that the other day on one of the conversations I was having with out-of-town folks. Sorry.
That's all right.
They said those 2 defensive linemen are the biggest reason why you're 10-1 right now. I don't think you can give any more praise to 2 dudes than that. Sweat and Murphy, 90 and 93, I think, are their 2 numbers.
I mean, everybody might have their preference, but if you're building a football team, where you starting? With me, it's the DT, but if not, it's one of the top 2 choices probably on the list. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you're considering what typically UT, Oklahoma, and some others in that type of category have above all others, it's those big boys on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Because they can wreck everything. It's hard
absolutely.
to – and what Texas majors in is they just rush 4 guys. This isn't some elite level pass rush that's coming at you in this blitz crazy deal. No, they just say our 4 better than what you got up front. We're going to drop people, keep everything in front because at some point you're going to screw it up. And on third down, we may come after you. We may send pressure with the elite level speed and all these things on the perimeter. But so that's kind of the game within the game there. But a lot will be on number 2's shoulders. And as much as 28 needs to help him, it just may be tough compared to what we are used to seeing.
37, my mistake, scored by the Red Raiders a season ago.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, there you go.
Of course it wasn't 34. That'd be idiotic. You score 34, you lose the game, like UT, 37-34. Chris, I really do wonder, before we wrap it up, what we could possibly see offensively that we haven't seen before or we don't see typically. It is the regular season finale. You are around a 2-touchdown or 2-score underdog on the road, lopsided series, and it's Zach Kittley, of all people, at the offensive controls. I know we've gotten into more so, I think, kind of fitting the identity of what your personnel is as the season has gone along, and I think Baron Morton has helped with some of that, but you've settled into Taj time, really taking you where you want to go, opening, middle act, and closing a game on Taj time. But I still think about Coach Kittley and what I really feel like if he just, had the personnel he wanted and could toy around in the way that he wants to with his offense, some of the innovative or creative things we might see. I wonder if some of that pops up this week. For better or worse, I don't know. You don't want to go away from what's working, obviously. But it is kind of a classic Dan Fouts in the water boy. Can't hold anything back now. Get it out there, Musburger. I don't know. Am I making too much of it, or is that vibe really going to be there, you think, on the field for the team?
Well, I think we've talked about that some this week, and that you will remain aggressive tonight. I think you need to be, but you can't be dumb either. And I think that aggressive in terms of, there's some chances that you'll take, or some wrinkles, but you're still going to really follow the data with your fourth down aggressiveness. I think that is kind of dictated by what you can get done. And I just keep going back to that Kansas State game, because Kansas State was the one team that almost pulled it off in Austin. they were third because they kept trying to run it early. They were third and long the whole first half. And that's why, the percentages fall in Texas's favor. And so you've got to avoid those scenarios and avoid third and long. And so you've got to be willing to take some things that are there. But if you start talking about, they always carry some I don't know, I guess what would the term be, gadgets or trick plays. And you've tried to run some of them have blown up, have not worked. I mean, I thought your bowl game last year, I thought you showed a lot of fun plays there, but you tried to run a double reverse pass last week, and Barron just ended up not throwing it where it would have gone because it was covered. I mean, I think UCF had done a good job of not getting beat on that play, but I think, you always see some different things and maybe a little gadget trickeration type stuff just to catch them a bit. But this is you're gonna need to try to beat these guys doing what you've been doing too, and winning your one-on-ones when you get them. I mean, Bradley's gonna have to go up and make a big play, or Xavier White's gonna have to break some tackles, and you're gonna have to make a play on special teams and things like that, because I don't know if you can beat them with tricks, but I think as far as aggressiveness, I mean, I think you absolutely will be. You just won't be stupid about it.
A lot of emotion going into this one, Chris. How has Coach Maguire approached that this week and heading into kickoff? Does he lean into it? You manage it? What have you seen?
I think one of the things that he has said, he said it on Monday, I guess it was. All my days are mixed up because of the press conferences and the holiday and all that stuff. He knows there's a lot of dislike / hatred between these two fan bases and teams and all that. And I don't know if the Texas folks, the team, fan base, whoever, has anywhere near as much hate towards Texas Tech at all. But I think what Joey has tried to get his team to do anyways is not focus on a lot of that and not focus on the last time and focus on, all that, and trying to be, I think the term he used was, be the best version of us. Like, if we're going out, and let's go out on our sword. Let's not get caught up into the extracurricular, the commissioner, the whatever, or what some fan may think, or that, SEC, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to try to put your best foot forward. And I think, go out on your sword, man. And so if you're going out, go out swinging, man. And hopefully you don't go out on your sword. I mean, hopefully you have the biggest party on their field that anybody could ever imagine, and you wreck their season, if you will. You almost potentially could take them out of the Big 12 title game. You would certainly take them out of the CFP talk. You would wreck their season for their ultimate goal. They may still have another goal in mind there with trying to win the Big 12, but that's what you've got to try to do. But again, won't be easy, man. You're gonna have to go win it too. I mean, and you're not gonna do it kicking field goals. You're gonna have to convert third downs. You're going to have to be disciplined, Cowan. You can't – this is a game where you can't – like in Kansas, you can't let Taj Brooks score in the red zone and then have a holding penalty with Dennis Wilburn and then march it back. Those are just things that just can't happen tonight if you want to pull this off.
Man, looking forward to this one. And, you had one circled all year long. It was obviously this regular season finale, and can't wait to kick it off and see what happens. And word to Robert Montgomery Knight, I deeply hope we beat their ass today. We'll be here on the other side to discuss it for better or worse. Chris, thanks for the time as always, man. Enjoy the ball game.
Right there. Let's see. Yeah, make sure forever and always. Yeah. You can't flag me. I'm not, I didn't, no penalty here. Yeah, man. Enjoyed it. Hope everybody enjoyed the holiday yesterday. Hope to see you at the stadium tonight in the ATX there at DKR, and it should be fun. And hey, man, let it rip, see what happens. But we will talk to you, I guess, after it concludes, and we'll see kind of what happens. And then we'll talk bowl game and all that good stuff next week either way. Got
a whole lot to talk on the other side, not just bowl game, because roster reshaping is going to be happening fast and furiously in all directions. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss a thing. For Chris, I'm Casey. Enjoy the ball game, and we'll see you back here for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.